I've been a serial procrastinator for most of my life. I've been a pretty shitty student. I do not remember studying for an exam more than 4 days prior to that exam. Never. It was always mugging up a lot of stuff just a couple of days before exams and then me performing absolutely horribly. I have been a very irresponsible son and I have been a pretty lazy brother. I used to ask my sister to drop me around, and this was until the age of 21. I'd procrastinated so much. I procrastinated getting my license to that degree where I used to ask for favors for very, very minute things. But luckily, I was able to flip my life around. I've been a software engineer at Dell Technologies, AMD, and a few other Fortune 500 companies. Additionally, I'd been a top performing student at my master's program, which is in one of the toughest disciplines, software engineering. And I was able to do all these things while I was in pretty good shape, learning martial arts, lifting weights. So I hope that this lends some credibility to what I'm about to say next. And please don't think that this is me sitting on my high horse and lecturing people about what not to do. No, this is me pretty much talking to the younger me and wishing that he could avoid these mistakes and probably save himself from years of pain and misery. Because it wasn't until I was mindful of these things that I actually begin to avoid them. And chances are that you too are kind of mindful of these things. You know that perhaps these things are bad, but sometimes you just need someone else to articulate what you're already thinking. And that is my goal with this video. So let's get right into it. The biggest mistake that I used to do was start my day off by checking my notifications or scrolling through social media. I cannot stress enough how damaging that is to your day. As soon as you check your notifications, 1,000 different regions of your brain start firing up. You have thoughts about X, Y, Z, your boss, your wife, your husband, your whatever. It's stress, chaos, possibilities, and your day is pretty much occupied with subconsciously thinking about these things. Because now you are incapable of doing any sort of deep focus work. Because if you actually wanted to sit down and do some good productive work, you need to be focused. Because in order for you to be focused, you need to quiet down all the other regions of the brain. But turns out you have just lit them on fire by checking your notifications at the very beginning of your day. It's going to be very, very hard for you to focus on deep, core, productive tasks from that point onwards. It's sort of always going to be this mental tug of war now. This tug of war just to fight for your focus. At one hand, you trying to do some deep, focused work, and on the other hand, are these notifications and these stressors just trying to pull you away. And the damage of checking notifications is not just limited to early morning or early parts of your day. It's actually limited to your entire day. For example, I could never really immerse myself completely into anything. I couldn't just enjoy watching a 30-40 minute long podcast and truly immerse myself in it. I couldn't enjoy myself reading a book for 30-40 minutes and truly immerse myself in it. The same goes for conversations with people, conversations with friends, with parents. I always found myself living life in slots, and these slots were 4 or 5 minutes before I checked my notifications. It was a very fragmented way of living, and it was unfulfilling and unsatisfying. I hope you know what I'm trying to say here. So in order to never repeat this mistake again, I have this new rule for myself. For the first 3 or 4 hours of the day, I do not check my cell phone. And I know this sounds absurd, this sounds absolutely crazy. I actually put my cell phone on flight mode for the first 3 or 4 hours of the day, and I do not check it until and unless I get good amount of productive work done, 3 to 4 hours of solid productive work done. I do not check my phone because I know it will ruin my day. I'm one bad message away from never being able to focus on that particular day. So I do not even take that risk. And I know what you're thinking. Whoa, Jibreal, I cannot do that. I am needed by this person, that person, this person, that person. And I thought the exact same way too, that how is the world going to function without me? Who is going to put off all the fires? The more I did it, the more I realized that this hypothetical emergency that is in your mind is probably never going to happen. I've been doing this for the last 1 or 2 years, and there has never been a scenario where I was required or needed so badly where my world ended. Additionally, people sort of get used to it. Okay, Jibreal is not available for this time slot, the first 3 or 4 hours of the day. And they do not even bother reaching out to you. But on a side note, if you're going to implement this tactic, make sure you wake up earlier than most people. If you're waking up at 8 and then trying to implement this and not being available till 12, that might lead to some problems with your boss or with your colleagues, etc., etc. But if you're like me, I wake up at around 5 a.m. or something. it doesn't matter that much because I'm up like multiple hours before most people are up and I can like do my work in peace. The second grave mistake that I made was I was hooked to instant gratification. Like I was playing video games, scrolling through social media for hours, watching movies, binge watching movies on Netflix, watching anime. Like I bombarded my brain with dopamine. I was just doing things that gave me instant pleasure, no hard work required, no effort required, and over time I got desensitized. Like I required this much amount of dopamine now to have fun, completely desensitized. And additionally, I was eating garbage food that was giving me dopamine, like 10 packets of chips a day. And this is why I could not study. I felt no interest in studying. I felt no interest in reading a book that was black and white, had some text on it, and I'm supposed to have fun reading this thing? No. I was too desensitized. Dopamine receptors were bombarded and destroyed. It was impossible for me to do low dopamine activities. And if you happen to begin your day with one of these activities, like as soon as you get up, you've been scrolling through social media or you played video games as soon as you got up, say goodbye to your day. The rest of your day is going to be very, very unproductive. You're going to procrastinate stuff. You're not going to do anything that is of value because you've set your bar for pleasure this high. Like this is what now counts as fun and enjoyable. Because like think about it. Who wants to read a book after having a 4-hour long video game session? Like in this video game session, you're like shooting people, fighting zombies, living in some fantasy land. You're having fun, you're making progress. Why would you ever want to come back and do something boring and hard after that, after having that experience? You're completely desensitized to it. The third mistake that I did was I lived life impulsively. Like I did not have a routine. I used to just wake up and just decide what I wanted to do next based on raw emotion and impulse. Like I would pick a book someday, read like 4 or 5 pages, and then for the next 1 week, I would never touch that book again. And I did this repeatedly with like hundreds of books. I read a few chapters, went midway, read a few pages, and never picked those books again. Never read anything cover to cover because I was just doing it off impulse. I was just doing it out of emotion, watched a video, got inspired by this topic, read a book, and then closed it down because the inspiration, the motivation, they all went down. I didn't do anything consistently. You see, when you don't have a fixed time and a fixed place for a particular activity, then that activity is at the mercy of your emotions, it's at the mercy of your impulses. And when it is at the mercy of your emotions, the chances that you would do it consistently are very, very low. And this way, you actually never build any discipline. You never build any consistency. Living life without a routine, without some sort of structure, makes you like a leaf floating through the wind. Like you're moving in random directions, you're putting all this effort in direction X, Y, and Z, but you have no progress, you have no rewards for all this effort that you're putting. Like you're tired with putting all this effort, but you gain nothing out of it. It's like pure misery. I really like this particular quote from Alice in the Wonderland. It's like Alice asks, where do I go? And the cat responds, where do you want to go? And Alice responds with, I don't care where. And the cat responds with, then it doesn't matter which road you choose. And this sort of describes what happens when you live your life without a routine. If you're someone who's actually quite ambitious, like you really want to live up to your potential and just flip your life around, but procrastination and bad habits, they're just kicking your butt, then make sure that you click the link in the description and book a one-on-one call with me. Perhaps I can help you out.